I'm Guillermo Ortega, and I'm the illustrator behind the poster, or well, rather posters for the short film Rob. Even though I'm working mostly on illustration these days, I first started out as a comic book artist back in 2009. It's what I always wanted to do as a little kid. I always wanted to draw comics, and I was lucky enough to start working as an inker for Marvel that summer. And again, I was lucky enough to stay consistently employed for the following years. So I was able to work on X-Men books, Wolverine books. I worked on X Factor for over a year. I moved on to other publishers like DC Comics, Valiant Comics, and Dynamite Comics. And it's actually working in comics that made me come across Ludwig Veit, the executive producer on the film, and also a very credible artist himself. We met at a comic convention in Athens, where he was there as a guest with his now wife, Artisha, and it was pretty cool. We got on straight away. And some months after that, he offered me to start working on the poster for the short film. Well, when first approaching the cover, the truth is Ludwig was acting as the art director on the gig, and he gave me pretty much a lot of freedom. Just he gave me a script and told me come up with whatever you want. He did tell me to try and approach it in a similar manner to some of my other illustrations, in which I used a lot of white as negative space, which is a sort of style that I like a lot, and it's similar to those, to the style of people like Matt Taylor or Mike Cho, which I really like a lot. So when I first came up with the first round of proposals, I had essentially four different layouts. My starting point was, reading the script, obviously. And after reading it, I assumed that the main key or theme behind it was almost like the isolation of the modern human being and its desperate need or want for attention and making a connection. I somehow realized there was a weird sort of parallel body position between Jill, sat at her office desk answering the calls at A&E, and the almost dying body of Rob lying on the floor, almost both in a sort of fetal position. So I started playing out with that idea, and that led to the first round of them overlapping and in a manner that seemed as if they were hugging. So even though they were separate, they were making a connection in their brains. And that was the first round. So whilst I was working on that first option, it came to my mind that maybe I could somehow contain the body of Rob inside a sort of silhouette of Jill's head, which would make sense on a content point of view, because it would exemplify that all this drama is happening essentially inside Jill's head, because she's sat at her office, and all the action is essentially happening in her head, because she's not in the bathroom with Rob. So it would be a nice image, and it would also match essentially the only requisite that Ludwig had given me, which was to try and utilize negative space and make it very designy, if possible. So initially, as I was saying, I presented Ludwig with four options, and he very rapidly discarded two of them, which is very useful, as much as I like them. But it's very, very good to get ideas out of the way, because that constricts the path of thought in which you essentially are constrained to work in. And the second option, which was pretty straightforward, it was the characters almost facing the camera and almost presenting the dream sequence. Ludwig very, very rightly pointed out that it looked too much like zombie apocalypse sort of style, and that we didn't want to go for that. So we started working and refining through, I don't know, a gazillion options for the one with Jill's silhouette in white, and with the bleeding body of Rob in the background. And we also played a lot around with different fonts and different positions for the titles, for the credits, which it's very design sort of work, which I enjoy in a way, but it can get very, very technical and a bit boring, to be honest. But it was good that we got it out of the way as well. And finally, and again, it's one of these situations in which randomness occurs and takes illustrations to a different place. When we had pretty much the illustration all set, and we were working on I was actually working on drawing the cable that falls on one of the posters from Jill's headset. I was literally drawing the cable and trying to make it fall like naturally and stuff. I drew a little heart on the cable, with the cable, almost like a little twist on the cable, and I took a snap of it. I sent it to Ludwig as a sort of like, look at this, LOL. And he laughed and then sent me a text back saying, actually, so it ended up making it on the actual poster, which was kind of hilarious, but I think very important, and brought the poster full circle, because the poster is very dramatic, very stern. We have like an image of a bleeding body essentially on the floor. But none of this sort of that dark comedy elements of the film were presented. So it was actually a nice little touch to almost make the whole poster a bit more informal, which was great, and I think brought the piece, as I said, full circle. Well, I mean, I'm everywhere, as one has to be these days. So you can find me on Facebook. Obviously, I have a website, also on Instagram. I think my handle on all of social media is @WillOrtega, which is also my email, so you can find me there very easily. And yeah, feel free to check me out and give me some feedback on the work.